Hi folks, you're with Tacitus Today, your pushback channel. Thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about articles written by Jewish writers in Jewish journals, exclusive subscription only type Jewish journals, and how they describe and assert and present their arguments that anti-Semitism is today worse than it's ever been. It has never been worse, maybe other than the Holocaust. But the presentation is that the next Holocaust is just around the next corner. It may already be here. It's in its early sort of stages. So we all need to be aware of this, and we need to fully understand about the terrible wrongs done to the Jewish people by Gentiles. Now, these Jewish writers have an incredible ability. I mean, this transcends the magic or conjuring acts. Right? It's beyond. They have the incredible ability to, wherever they are, swastikas magically appear. Just swastikas everywhere. I mean, not a swastika, but swastikas plural. I mean, whoa! I have never seen a swastika in public, and I get around a fair bit. Yet. They continually see them, and all the time, everywhere. I mean, fuck. That is an achievement in my view. But what? How can you explain anti-Semitism? We are the victims of terrible anti-Semitism. Swastika, and we've had the Hitler, neo-Nazi, far-right, fascist, and so these things just tumble out in a torrent. And so they manage to see things. Now, maybe I'm just not vigilant enough, and I do nothing but walk over and trample over swastikas every day, and multiple times a day, hundreds of times a day. But I don't see them, but they do. Maybe they're seeing ghosts. I don't know. But let's have a look. I saw a couple of articles in close succession. One of them was on a sort of a centre-right news website, and I thought that's a bit of an odd one to appear there, given that in the assertions that they made, the implication was constantly that all the anti-Semitism is coming from white Christian males. Those are it's just coming from there. Now, if you look at say in the United States as an example, where the Jews are at the most activist and the most affluent, by the way. The claim is that we only represent on or about 2% of the US population. I've seen some figures as high as 3%, by the way, 3%, but assuming 2% for the moment. But we suffer 50 to 60% of all the hate incidents. Now, I don't know how they define hate incidents or whose numbers they go by, but if you look at, say, the FBI stats and things like that, which we've got to assume are politicized anyway to some extent, but the FBI stats, then the bar is set very low for what constitutes anti-Semitism. You mentioned the word pork chop or something, and that's it. You're an anti-Semite. So the bar is set very low. But let's just look at the numbers. Even if you accept that all these reporting of hate incidents are indeed hate incidents, then and any ones that involve some sort of investigation, then best I can determine, it's not that easy to tease it out, but something like 12% of these total incidents are caused by white people, Gentile Christians. The rest are by blacks or Hispanics, brown people, or Middle Eastern people, Muslims. It's not by white Gentile Christians. So if you were going to sort of point in any direction, you'd say, well, look, nearly half these hate incidents are caused by this group or that way, but they don't do that. Instead, they say in these articles, at least, and I saw two in close succession, so I went and had a little look at a few more, and they stick pretty much to the same format. So you assert a hate incident, then you invoke swastika, Holocaust, Hitler. That's sort of the sequence. And so every time a hate incident or allegations of anti-Semitism increasing or rising, they go straight to the Holocaust. Bang, one move. So if that's the case, then, and the swastika obviously is, they have to have the event and the symbol running concurrently in their narratives. So it's not just any good to say Holocaust, because people might not know what that means. Holocaust, well, what's that? And is that new delicatessen down the road there? So you have to go, swastika, Hitler, Nazi, fascist, Hitler personally is everywhere, Nazis. So you have to invoke the imagery, which of course any school kid has been taught now. So, which is why when the globalists, the US government, as a case in point, wants to have a hate incident, they have to. Can you make sure that the FBI guy who's doing the hate incident at least got one swastika, preferably two? I mean, what if the newspapers and the cameras come at two angles, so we need two swastikas? Can we have the visuals right? Can you get the fucking optics right? Yeah, you motherfucker. So these things are needed. So when they assert hate crimes, they just say it's on the rise. Hate incidents on the increase, but very vague and lacking in detail. They simply assert it. So then you get the things that that are widely used now. When I was a kid, now the guy looks like he's in his 50s. When I was a kid, I had to. There was armed police in the college I was at. So that just showed, because of anti-Semitism and incident. Well, actually, no. If you look at where the guy, which took a little bit of digging, not much. Finally, the guy went to college. There was a bomb threat incident over a few days there. So they had a police presence during that time. He retrospectively told, well, it must have been anti-Semitism. Must have been. Now, here's a number of other things. Another writer, a Jewish writer, was saying, well, he went to a Jewish school, and just an exclusive Jewish, in fact, his whole education was to Jewish schools and to a Jewish university. And he went to summer camps, summer schools that they do in America, which was just an exclusive Jewish summer school. And so he has this very devout, very pious upbringing and education. He's drilled from day one on the evil and wicked things the Gentiles have done to them, including obviously the Holocaust. And I've been into Jewish people's houses where they have, a room dedicated as a library to the Holocaust. So they have so many fucking books in there. So it's a wound that they just endlessly keep on scratching at, but want to make everyone else guilty for it. Nonetheless, this is the argument is then that why are we treated differently? These people treat us differently and treat us separately, and because they treat us differently, it means the next Holocaust is only a day away, or only 5 minutes away, or only around the next corner, like the unicorn, it's only around the next corner. And by at the same time saying we're separate, we keep separate, we don't want anything to do with you Gentiles, but you damn well treat us differently, and it's anti-Semitism. You wonder why we go into our own little unique schools, have our own little unique history. If you wonder that, you are fucking Hitler. You are a fucking Nazi. You are a fucking Holocaust. You're a Holocauster. Hey, I've just invented a new term. Now, I've got a problem with this. Why present things in that way? The incredible ability to see swastikas everywhere. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. You don't see swastikas everywhere. And if anything, it would be somebody that's been set up to do it, just so you can have the optics to say, look there, yeah, the Holocaust sitting around the corner. See that swastika. That's complete bullshit. Now, if they were going to address the issue of these so-called hate incidents, they would be looking not at white Gentile Christians, but in a lot of other places. But they don't do that. And so straight away, the complaints are disingenuous. Now, there's a couple of other things came out of a number of articles. Any criticism of Israel in any way. I mean, you can criticize Israel's economic policies. You can criticize that they have been using expensive desalination methods there that are really not economic. That's anti-Semitic. Any criticism of anything about anything in any respect about Israel, policies to do with export or import, anything at all, that's anti-Semitism. That qualifies as a hate incident. So if you criticise or question Israel, you have committed a hate incident. Now, it just so happens that if you criticise or question globalisation, that is a hate incident in globalisation, and that means that you're a damn fucking. So it also means you're a Nazi. So we look at the propaganda methodology structurally, how it's implemented, distributed, disseminated, and how they the architecture of the propaganda, the globalist propaganda machine and the Jewish propaganda machine seem to be sort of very similar. There are some kinks in that because the globalists want to bring in Arabs into, the Muslims and people that maybe don't think too highly of Jews, bring them into the West, and that doesn't, the sort of woke Jews don't seem to know what to do about this, but anyway. They also then, some articles have complained about the so-called progressive Jews that are in the minds of the more devout, religiously devout Jews. Maybe they don't read the Torah enough or something, but these woke Jews, even though their intentions are supposed to be good, the equality, nirvana, and the Marxist equal outcomes and everything, that they are ultimately embarking on a course of action that will, as its end game plays out, will be bad for Jews, is the argument. So they're saying that there's the Jews on the or other Jews rather are pursuing policies and attitudes and so on that will ultimately be unhelpful. So that's there as well. But it comes back to anti-Semitism on the rise, hate incidents everywhere. I was walking around the corner yesterday and saw 5 million swastikas. I saw Hitler waving a swastika. Now, that's patently absurd. It may work when you play to the gallery, but I didn't realise the view that, I don't sort of go around reading Jewish journals, or I don't avoid them necessarily, just simply don't come across them. And I was really surprised at how they'll go from, somebody was a little reluctant to shake my hand yesterday. That's because I'm Jewish and because the Holocaust and because of Hitler, and they'll go bang straight to that, which is again very much how the globalists use the propaganda. You're against mass migration. You're questioning mass migration. You're Hitler, and it's the same sort of thing. So I see a lot of synergy there. You've got to wonder whether the same people are writing those fucking scripts. But I had an overall issue with this whole idea that the Holocaust is around the next corner and keeping people in this hyper state of fear, that the Holocaust is around the next corner, climate change is going to kill us all, this is white supremacy, Hitler, Nazi. I mean, there's such a shortage of swastikas that FBI agents have to sort of order swastikas online, flags online, and then take them out the pack and then go walking around in supposed white supremacist protests or marches, and just so the media can well-positioned media can take photographs. Talk about contrived and FBI insurgents trying to create these so-called hate incidents. So just in summary, I think that the hate incidents just don't exist, or certainly not anywhere near the thing. And it reminds me of the rapes on college campuses. If you do a little bit of an examination, it doesn't take much to look at these so-called rapes. They're exaggerated by 40 times, and also, and even then, you have to include the unwanted sex thing rather than there was a rape or anything like that. So you're down to a very technical determination of what, there's no violence, no threat of violence, no coercion. You just might have had a. So you have these things that in reality the incidents of hate are very minor, and I think nowhere near the amount claimed. do they see all these swastikas running around everywhere? No, of course not. That's absolute nonsense. That's only injected into the discussion for a nice convenient bit of symbolism. Nazi swastika. So, and is a Holocaust around next corner? Well, the ingredients that lead to, as they see it, lead to the Holocaust are negative attitudes towards Jews coming from anywhere, which includes any criticism of Israel's policies. No, that's not anti-Semitism. What a load of nonsense. And also the idea of mass migration. That, again, coming back to something I've mentioned a number of times, the Jews firmly believe, or activists firmly believe, that if the Jews could have moved anywhere in the world whenever they wanted at any time, that this is leaving Europe, that is, in the 1930s, then the Holocaust could have been averted and maybe not even happened at all, and even at the tiniest degree. So they very much see limits on mass migration as a limit on Jewish people, movements of Jews around the world, which is therefore the Holocaust is the next step. So they draw a very, very tight relationship between mass migration or any questioning of it and another Holocaust. So they see the ingredients of the Holocaust as being, or one of the key ingredients as being restriction on mass migration. So on that basis, though, when you have that sort of tight relationship between, for example, guns are made of metal. So anyone who is in mine, any company that mines metal or is engaged in metallurgy is a maker of guns, which therefore is the Holocaust, Hitler. So you wouldn't draw that relationship or that parallel. So I think it's in that category. I don't see that relationship at all. And it will be hard one to argue, but these are the sort of things that I noticed, and I guess that the greater tragedy is it keeps many Jews and the propagandist class in general, it keeps them in a state of either using that mis and disinformation to keep people in a state of hyper anxiety, or those that may genuinely believe it. That you question mass migration, you're preventing you prevent mass migration, you're preventing the movement of Jewish people, which means you're supporting the Holocaust, which means you're Hitler. And it's that sort of reasoning and rationale that they're applying. But this is all across their, in my opinion, all across their activist literature, which again is designed for other Jews to consume. It's not necessarily designed for the wider public. But these are the sort of attitudes that they convey. But I've spent a lot of time, in New York, and I've met Jewish people who are in business, but they're also full-time Jewish activists who've been through all the Jewish education system, who've been relentlessly bombarded with all the evils that the Gentiles have done to them, and they do hold these activist views. The view that. Well, everyone should have known what Hitler was going to do, and he should have stopped. And the fact that other Gentiles didn't stop Hitler means they supported Hitler, which means if they supported Hitler, means they caused the Holocaust, which means they are Hitler. And then if they wouldn't allow the migration of Jews out of Europe, and that means, and so on. So they draw these parallels of quite perverse logic, in my view, but they put it together and then blame others for that situation, where they've imposed their own, I don't know, I'd call it apocalyptic sort of logic on matters, rather than look at the unique play of circumstances of the times and the interplays that were going on during Europe at that time, and say, well, that was a very unique event. The chance of that happening again would be gazillions to one. But they don't say, they like to keep that situation of the next Holocaust is only around the next corner and we have to be fighting every day to prevent it. But it's not around the next corner, and it never will be. You've been with Tassos today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.